Hi, I'm Deb, certified high performance coach and your expert guide to leading a happy life. Here with tip number 56, how to not let stress spoil your fun. Because what I just went through this weekend, if I had given in and let stress take over, I probably could have poked a real big hole in what turned out to be a really, really fun weekend for me and my family. So I thought it would be a good time to maybe give you some of the tips that I use that help me keep a happy life and a happy family so that you can use them in your life and maybe help improve the quality of your relationships. So let's get started. Tip number one is uh, when you're in a situation and you know it's going to be stressful and you know yourself, and I know myself, you plan ahead and you prepare your mind to be aware if something's going to happen and you might get triggered, to recognize that moment and practice self-discipline and don't just blurt out or don't give in to your feelings right in that moment. Those are when I usually make my biggest mistakes with my family or at work, is when I let my emotions take over and I don't use my mind and I don't discipline my mouth and I just ugh. And that only gets blah back, right? It just gets me pain and suffering back. So number one, the most important, stay present and discipline your mind and your mouth, and remember your ultimate outcome. What you really want to have is a fun time. And when you do things impulsively, that's when you mess those moments up. And number two, to eliminate stress is to prepare ahead of time. Don't leave it go to the last minute like so many people do. And I did that for so many years. If I had two big parties this last weekend and I had probably, oh my gosh, 50 or 60 people in and out of my house. And if I had left that go to the very last minute, can you imagine what the stress would have been like? Where in planning ahead and having it well thought out and delegating to others and then accepting what they did without criticism, because nobody's going to do exactly what they're not going to do it exactly the way that you would have it done. So remember to, plan ahead, keep a list, delegate, let people help, and don't criticize if it's not exactly what you would do yourself. And number three, if you have a big event coming up, don't try to do too much. That's something I've always done too. Oh, well, I have to have this done and I have to have that done and I have to do this and that. No, only do what's necessary to get that event through. And that eliminates a lot of stress. If you're having a party or you whatever, I'm going to use party as an example. If you're having a party, just take that week ahead of time and prepare for your party. Get your house cleaned ahead of time. Make sure it looks just so. Have people help you. Get that all done way ahead of time. For instance, in our house, washing all the bedding can be a big challenge. Well, if you do one a day instead of doing 10 all at the same time, that eliminates stress. But only do what's necessary for that party, because that brings me to number four. Before you know it, here it is Monday and all my parties are over and we had a wonderful time. And you remember to enjoy, because life goes by so fast that this too shall pass. And if you can't enjoy those life moments and embrace them with your family and friends, you miss what's really important in life. What really creates happiness is being with family and enjoying those moments that come into your life, and not letting stress and overwhelm kill the moments, or anger when you're blurting out things that are hurtful because you're stressed. None of those help to create a happy life. It's my mission to help you. And these are things that I use in my day-to-day life. And I'm going to tell you, over the weekend, I can remember point blank, I was standing at the sink and I felt that moment coming where I could have, that would have come out of my mouth, 20 years ago. I felt it. It was getting close to people getting there. It was like quarter to whatever the time was, and I was feeling stressed, and a couple people were standing around, and I felt that bitterness, or whatever you would call it. Oh, you need to be helping me. I recognized the trigger, and I did not allow myself to say anything. I put my head down and I went back to doing what I was doing, and the moment passed, and so now I can look back on that whole weekend and I can really pat myself on the back, and you can do the same thing and say, oh man, I navigated a tricky situation. I practiced self-discipline and self-control. I prepared ahead of time. I delegated. I didn't criticize. I only did what necessary. And by golly, I enjoyed the whole weekend, and so did everybody else. And now this too has passed. So it's my mission as your expert guide to leading a happy life and a certified high performance coach to give you tools and tips and daily practices that you can really use in your daily life to create a happier life. And these things really work. So until next tip, go out in the world and please be a positive role model and influencer for good. And I'll see you next tip.